Nat 20. Hi folks, Merlin here, bringing you another Dungeons and Dragons Adventurer video. So we're finishing off Delivery 6 and we're hitting issue 22. So we'll be starting at Delivery 7 very soon with issues 23 to 26. So yeah, plenty more to come, including some nice little extras. As I mentioned in my unboxing, that map is gorgeous. Can't wait to frame it and hang it on my wall. So, before we dive into everything, big thank you to, of course, all my supporters, whether you're subscribed on YouTube or supporting me on Patreon. If you aren't supporting me on Patreon, there is a link in the video description down below where you are getting more and more special exclusive content, paint guides, first chance to seize, and hopefully soon a Discord server as well. So, let's take a look at the front cover of issue 22. So we have a new and exclusive adventure. We learn about the domains of the clerics. We learn all about telepathic creatures and their powers. And we also discover one of the most wretched of devils, the Nupperibos. It's a tongue twister. The Nupperibos. Plus, we also have a little bit about who rules each of the parts of the realm. So this issue comes with another set of dice in a tin, and although it does look a bit black, they are actually supposed to be a clear blue, and when we get into it, I will say that their description of these is a poor one at that. They aren't exactly as translucent as their gift box describes, so I will probably be needing a torch in order to show off the exact translucency of these, but they aren't the best, I must admit. Still, they have a nice blueness to them, so they are pretty cool. Right, so I've already said check out all the links in the description down below, including the Patreon and any of my affiliate links, as well as all my social medias. And don't forget to check the end credits, where your names, if you are a Patreon supporter, will be included. Right, let's hop over to the table and we'll take a look at issue 22. So here we are then with issue 22. So as usual, first and foremost, we'll look at dice in just a sec, but we'll have another quick look at that front cover. So there's some nice information in this one. The Cleric Domains, we get 3 of those, so that's pretty cool. Some nice in-depth detail on them. Of course, we have our new exclusive adventure. We learn all about telepaths and how to use telepathic powers. We learn about some of the most wretched devils, the Nupperibos. And, of course, we learn about the rulers of the realm. So, yeah, we'll take a look through the magazine in just a sec. First, let's introduce you to the new sets of dice. So, another set of dice in a tin. This one is a little on the battered side. Not as bad as the last one I think I had, but still a little not shown the greatest of care for these being delivered. But yeah, let's pop them open and have a look. So we've got a translucent blue, and it's not all that translucent. So yeah, I've got a torch here, not a very good one, but hopefully it will suffice. And yeah, it takes quite a bit of light to make these translucent. It's not the clearest of translucent. I'll bring out a D20 here. So yeah, you do really need a quite strong light to get these to actually appear translucent. Off the light, they are more of a solid blue with a slight translucence to them. Nowhere near the best of translucent dice. It's also hard to tell what colour they actually are. But we're not here to complain about dice, we're here to roll them and see how good they actually are. So let's give them their customary 2 rolls just to see what we're dealing with here. We've got 60, 6, 6, 4, 2, 7, and 12. Not the best of rolls. A lot of 6s. I think we're going to be summoning a devil because we got 666. So yeah, not the best starting roll. Well, except for the D4, we got the 4, so that's pretty high. Let's give them another shot as usual. See if we've worn the luck off, good or bad. Yeah, we've kind of gone backwards. A 9, 2, 7 on the D8, a 5, a 6 again, 4, and a 1 this time. Yeah. Can't say much about them. Not my favourite of the dice sets we've had. As we'll see in a minute, the magazine actually makes them sound a little bit more translucent than they actually are. Holding up against the window, I can see a little better through them, but yeah, you really do need a strong light to make them translucent. But it is just another set of dice, sadly, nothing special really to write home about. So with that out the way, let's take a look then at issue 22. So diving into issue 22, let's just see what we actually get. So we have, of course, Adventures 2, Encounter 22, Dancing with Devils Part 2, a lot of 2s. Sage Advice, so we have Overview, page 20, all about telepathy, even not telepathy. That's something totally different. For the DM, we have a page for Managing Monsters Part 6, and we have for spellcasting all about how to be spectacular at magic. Character creation, then we have 3 of the domains. For the Cleric, we have Tempest, Nature, and Trickery domain. And for lore, we have Nupperibos, as well as the Rulers of the Realms. So your 22nd issue of Dungeons & Dragons Adventurer comes with a set of dice that, like an adventurer with an invisibility spell, are totally transparent. Yeah, totally transparent. I mean, I'll be able to see through them without the aid of light. That is a little contradictory to what we've actually got. Use these next time your rogue is stealthy or infiltrating a monster lair. I mean, I'd probably use these as maybe mystical dice for a wizard, a cleric, or druid, but that's like connected to water or air. But yeah, these aren't the stealthiest. If we had like a set of dice that could appear invisible, that would be better. That would be more totally transparent than these actually are. So a little bit of false advertising there, I'm afraid, from Hachette on their part. Right. Of course, the usual D&D Beyond QR code. We have our customer service and our binders at the bottom. But let's move on and start taking a look at the information we have. So, Sage Advice, page 20, is all about telepathy. Numerous terrifying entities in the realms boast telepathic powers, but players' characters can sometimes channel mind-to-mind communication too. So, yeah, telepathy is the ability to speak from one's mind into another or multiple minds. Usually it's mystical or magical in essence. Some can have it as an ornate ability, like the Mind Flayers here, as it will say over the other side. So it goes into detail about describing how a voice can enter a person's mind. We've also got ways that DMs can think about how to use and describe a different telepathic type. So some might be a soothing voice, some might be a more wriggling voice. There's other ways you can get telepathy as well. There's items such as the helmet telepathy. High-level spellcasters from level 8 can cast the spell telepathy. And even the first level spell Beast Bond allows you to establish a link with a creature that you have charmed. So mind over matter is the topic of telepathy. So yeah, each of the different telepaths can use this feature at different ranges, and they do not need to share a language of those they're contacting, as it's usually translated through the telepathy process. So yeah, as it mentions, each one feels a little different, as I previously alluded to. So you could have an oozing sound, a more angelic sort of voice, or even a gruff, malicious type of voice. So yeah, it's fun for the DMs to have a little play around with, and even those characters that get to use telepathy. Speaking of creatures that use telepathy, we've got a list of them here. So flumps, which are kind of like jellyfish with giant eye stalks. Mercanes, mind flayers, of course. Pseudo-dragons, which are dragons that are kind of dragons, but not really. And we got Sahuagins, aquatic predators known as sea devils. So, speaking of predators, we have all about the combat environment with Managing Monsters Part 6. Monsters don't fight in a vacuum, and their environment, tactics, and randomly occurring events can change the course of any battle. So yeah, we referred to Part 5 here, where we suggested memorable encounters a party can face monsters, and we had some tables to roll on for adding a little bit of extra flavour to them. We have the combat environments, which is how the creatures you are fighting will make use of their environment. Mostly creatures will be on a sort of home field advantage. So yeah, they know the ins and outs of their natural environment. So as we can see in this picture here, we have a dwarf adventurer trekking through a blizzard, and we have a yeti-like creature using the blizzard to stalk up on him from behind. Or her, it's kind of hard to tell with that hood. So yeah, monsters are clever. We know that monsters are sentient creatures. They have tactics and stuff. They are literally players, but instead of it being Dungeons and Dragons, it's forests and food. So basically, yeah, you want to think about, as a DM, how you're going to describe a creature and how they're going to use their environment. Who knows, you might even cause an unexpected twist to occur. So when something triggers perhaps an accidental avalanche, or even bringing vines to life to aid it. So yeah, nice thoughtful article for those of you thinking on how to add a little bit more to your adventures. Moving on then, we have a page all about spellcasting. So, spectacular magic. How to describe your spells can make the difference between a boring evening of dice rolling and an exciting night of imagination. Kind of wish I'd read this article before I went into my second sit-down adventure with my play group at the moment. I did do some spells, but I didn't do a very good job of actually describing them. After reading this article, I had a few ideas of how I could have changed things. And yeah, this is a very good article for anyone who utilises spells. So my elf cleric could have definitely used this to give a little bit more oomph to their portrayal, should we say. So yeah, this article is, as I said, all about giving you ideas on how to bring your magic to life. So you want to think about things like spell components. You might have it that a DM will set up a quest for you to gather the components in order to make the ritual you need. Yeah, some components though can be found quite easily. I mean, you could forage for things like berries, mushrooms, etc. But harder to get items, you'll probably have to spend a little bit of your coin. Yeah. Also, we have arcane spectacles. It's a good idea to bring to life and help visualize natural effects. So we can see there's some pictures here of different elements. So we got a lightning element, a gaseous element, and some rocks there as well. So yeah, you want to think about what the spell's effect will look like, sound, and smell. So yeah, consider what does a spell look like, what does it sound like, and what, if anything, does it smell like. Take the sleep spell for an example here. So there's an aroma of lavender while the caster whispers a lullaby and sprinkles a pinch of sand which drifts into the air and glitters like stars. So yeah. Finally, then we have a top tip all about the DM here. So take the advice you find here and lead by example. So add a little bit extra to your characters that you have your players encounter. And yeah, just bring the environment to life a little bit more. So talking about a little bit more, we're going to dive a little bit more into the cleric background here and class, and we're going to look at some of the different domains that a cleric can pledge themselves towards. So we have first off the Tempest domain. Become the storm of your god's wrath with the cleric's Tempest domain. So it talks here about being a storm effectively. So you might be calm and measured on the outside, but once you start hitting in combat, you will turn into a ferocious storm. To think about gods in our own mythologies, we have Zeus, Thor, and Poseidon, all gods of storms. So, of course, Zeus, the high god of Olympus, who is famed for his thunderbolts. Another thunder god here is Thor, of course, who is the god of thunder. And Poseidon, as we know, is the god of the seas and oceans, who can easily kick up a swirl of high waves. So yeah, some nice little bits of information for us to think about. So gods in the actual realms then, we have Auriel, the goddess of winter, Talos, the god of storms, and Umberli, the goddess of the sea. So benefits of being part of the Tempest domain, you get access to a variety of spells such as Fog Cloud. At 5th level you can call lightning as well as sleet storms. And yeah, these aren't restricted to being out in the nature. You can even bring in a storm into the dungeons. So yeah, pretty cool. Your domain also will allow you to include Wrath of the Storm at 1st level, allowing you to inflict lightning or thunder damage based on your chosen target, of course, and chosen channeling. From 2nd level, your channel divinity lets you inflict the maximum damage with no damage roll needed, which is pretty cool. Now we've got a tip all about how to roleplay the Tempest domain there. So think about your deity. What sort of justice would they want to be delivered through you? Any holy gifts you are given from that deity? So yeah, there's some very nice information there for you to think about. So moving on to the nature domain. Champions of the wilds of the world as a cleric of the nature domain. So yeah, if you are a cleric dedicated to nature, you will of course have an affinity with animals, plants, and anything of the natural world. So in our mythologies we have Demeter, Dagda, and Ullur, in the Forgotten Realms, you have gods such as Miliki, goddess of the forest, Sylvanus, god of wild nature, and Deep Sasheles, elven god of the sea. So yeah, again, it goes into detail. We have our benefits of being part of the nature domain. So you include animal friendship and speak of animals as part of your spell list. We can also channel your divinity with this case expanding empathy towards animals, creating friendships with natural creatures, and allowing you to magically charm plants and animals. So it's pretty cool. Furthermore, as an acolyte of nature, you can expand your spellcasting knowledge from among your druidic list of cantrips as well. And then we have, again, another way of how to roleplay a cleric of the nature domain. So yeah, it's good to have a good read through. So yeah. Moving on to our final domain that's looked at in this issue, we have the Trickery Domain. So embrace the merry arts of mischief as a cleric of the Trickery Domain. So when we come to trickery gods, we have, of course, good old Loki, Peter Pan, and Set. So in the Forgotten Realms then, we have Shar, Lady of Loss, Cyric, God of Lies. Neither of them very nice, but there's also Timora, the goddess of good fortune, and Joaquin, the goddess of trade. So yeah, the trickery gods in the Forgotten Realms are a little different to the ones we have in our own reality. So we have, of course, goddess of trade and fortune there. So yeah, you're often jovial, you enjoy shapeshifting, which will be part of your benefits for being part of the trickery domain. So you have disguise self, charm person. At third level, you can get mirror image and pass without trace, allowing you to be a bit more stealthy. And at second level, your channel divinity allows you to invoke duplicity, creating an illusionary creature that you can actually use to cast spells and count it as a point of origin, bringing a perfect false target for your enemies. Among other abilities, you have Blessings of the Trickster as well, and you also gain an advantage on dexterity. Finally then, we have again another section all about how to roleplay a cleric of the trickery domain. So depending on your background, this might help set you up on the path, whether you were working through stagecraft or spycraft as an entertainer, folk hero. Yeah, really good ways of how to add a little bit extra to your characters. Right, next up though, we're on to a little bit more nightmare fuel here. So these are the Nupperibos. Meet the disgusting devils who live at the very bottom of the hellish pecking order. So yeah, at the very lowest of devil society, we have the Nupperibos. Creatures that have been pretty much downtrodden by even the other lesser devils. These are creatures who have had their eyes stitched shut, their mouths have also been sewn, but they have worked these loose over time. They are home to, as you can see, various different creepy crawlies, insects, creatures with poison, etc. And yeah, they're not a very nice creature to encounter. But that's not where the threat ends. They are a pack creature, so where you find one, you'll most likely find more. So we also have a little bit here about the different types of vermin they can have infesting them. So a cloud of vermin, so insects, butterflies, bats, blood-sucking sturges, etc. Tracking creatures, so creatures that can help track their prey. Immunities and resistance, they have a resistance to cold and acid damage and are totally immune to fire and poison. And they can't be blind as their eyes are stitched shut. Finally, they have a bite attack with their vicious maw there. And they are blind sight, and the creatures actually help them hear and track enemies in the dungeons. Moving on then to the final bit of information before our latest adventure, we've got all about who rules the different realms. So no two cities are exactly alike, and neither are the systems of governments. But whether it's autocracy, plutocracy, or militocracy, it pays to know who makes the rules before you step through those city gates. So yeah, you want to think about what sort of town you're going to be entering, how you want to really act. Do you want to draw attention to yourself? Do you want to try and mingle in? And you also want to know how to appease the town's owners. So we got a list here of some of the most famous towns and who runs them. So Neverwinter is ran by the Regent Daggett Neverember, the miserable little blighter he is. So he's actually the nemesis of our campaign that I'm playing through at the moment with some friends. So yeah, pretty cool. He is literally the default ruler in place of a missing actual heir to the throne. Any that do say they are the heir to the throne will make sure they are quietly disposed of. So yeah, it's not the nicest guy to cross, but other than that, he has at least restored a little bit of prosperity to the town in place. Next up, we have Waterdeep, which is ran by a council. So yeah, another large city. This time we got ran by a council of different creatures. Several anonymous masked lords sit upon a council, presided over by one single open lord chosen from amongst their number. Lord Neverember was a former member of this until he was kicked out. Finally, then we have Baldur's Gate, which is segregated by class. So depending on how rich you are, depends on where you live. So we have the upper city, which is protected by hills and walls. Then we have the lower city, where the lower classes live. And then beyond the actual outer city walls, we have the outer city, which is all about basically the farmland and peasantry. So it's a government and is a study in law and order as agencies navigate the tension between law and crime. So we have a council of 4. The Grand Duke is advised by a parliament of peers selected from a group of 50 different citizens. And yeah, pretty cool place. Well, if you like that sort of thing. And next up then, we have a list of the different forms of governments. So we've got autocracy, bureaucracy, confederacy. We have the monarchy, militocracy, patriarchy, plutocracy, a republic. Yeah, pretty nice. Just a simple description of what each one will be. So, yeah, pretty handy. So a magocracy here is a government that is ruled by spellcasters. Right, time to delve into this issue's adventure, and we are continuing our dance with devils in part 2. So a balance for second level characters, playtime 3 to 4 hours. The party was summoned by Sir Lanivere Strile and to investigate an infernal plot. In the past few days, people have begun disappearing, and the knight believes they were kidnapped by the Ashmedai cult. The adventurers followed the first suspect, a man called Terentius, who reappeared unharmed after several days of absence. This investigation led to a suspicious meeting with a woman named Amanda, who turned out to be an agent of the Ashmedai. Whether they follow the woman unnoticed or receive information elsewhere, the adventurers now find themselves in the sewers beneath Neverwinter. Within the sewers is a tunnel that leads to the cult cell's hideout. So, yeah. Wait for your reinforcements, preparing to press onward, then how to enter the hideout. So we got the sewers running through here, and then we got the actual entranceway into the hideout here. So the ceilings, doors, very low light, eerie feelings, ways to help immerse your players there. So A1 is a relic room where various relics for the cult have been kept. The A2 is the southern sleeping quarters. Then we got the northern sleeping quarters for A3. A4 is the shattered hall, split here, as we can see, by a chasm, which is 15 feet wide, so don't try to jump it unless you can definitely get across. A5 is the pool room, not the balls and sticks game, just an actual pool. A6 is the entrance hall there, which leads off to the other rooms, and then finally A7 is the ritual chamber there. Then we have our final encounter, which is up against the demon that we've uncovered. There's some treasure to be picked up, including the ring of mind shielding. Very good to protect against those creatures with telepathic powers. Then we have the aftermath there, and we advance our characters to level 3, which we'll be starting looking at in the next issue. So for our stat blocks, we have our veteran of the gauntlet who's joined us there, as well as the stat line for the Nupperibos. So yeah, alright, I'll bring everything back in and I'll give you my final thoughts on issue 22. So there we have issue 22 of Dungeons and Dragons Adventurer. Rather good information for anyone who is playing a cleric. It's a nice little bit of background information there in the form of telepathic creatures, as well as how to make the best out of casting your spells in game. Finally, we discover all about those wretched Nupperibos, as before we face them in, of course, this issue's adventure. Some good information, as I said. Definitely wish I'd read this one a little sooner, as yeah, I could have done with some of the information in this book for playing my own character. We have to talk about the free gift. It is, again, another set of dice. I must admit, I do like getting the tins, even if this one has seen better days. Sadly though, they've kind of over-advertised the dice as being translucent, or totally translucent, as the description says. These aren't translucent at all. Cloudy translucent at best. But yeah, no, they're not totally translucent. As I said, totally translucent would mean being able to see right through them. And frankly, I can see better through the set we had with the axes inside. They are a really nice set, I must admit. I do like that they are like a mystical, magical blue. Pretty cool. Very fitting, I suppose, if you were a storm cleric. But yeah, it's just another set of dice. We are sadly going to be seeing a few more of these in future issues. But other than that, yeah, the tin's going to come in handy, I think, for storing and taking dice to adventures. But yeah, can't say much really. Yeah, let me know what you thought of that in the video description down below. Are you as excited about the information as I am? I know not all of it's going to be integral. I mean, to me, who plays a cleric, it's going to be quite informative, but to other people, they're probably not going to find much use for a lot of the stuff in this issue. I think, though, to be fair, I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5. The information was good, but it is kind of rather specific, dedicated to a specific play style. And the dice aren't all that special. They are falsely advertised a bit inside the front cover. Yeah, I think I'll be fair and just give it a nice half out of my usual ratings. Let me know in the comment section what you thought of it. Do you think there'll be... I know there is going to be some better information in future issues. I'm looking forward to the next 4 issues, actually. So, big thank you to all my Patreon supporters who have, of course, got the chance to see this video before it goes on YouTube. And, yeah, stay tuned for future videos coming very soon, including this month's paint video, which is a little bit delayed, I must admit, but I will hopefully get 2 paint videos out in April for you. I just need to start doing the polls for April's actual choice. So yeah, check out the YouTube community page very soon for chances to vote on what I'm going to be painting for April. March will be a Bretonian knight done in the Landguil King Dukedom. So yeah, I think that's about all I can say. So thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, keep rolling those crits.